Hey guys, welcome to episode number 475. Today is Tuesday, so I have another tank tip for you. And today I wanted to walk through how you can find your niche in the aquarium hobby. Now, as you guys know, the aquarium hobby is very vast. There's a lot to do. There's a lot of different types of tanks. There's a lot of different types of fish that you can keep. And oftentimes you have to start somewhere and then go somewhere. And you can't really do or accomplish everything. So you need to figure out who you are and what interests you the most. So I've got 6 different questions that you can ask yourself to try to help you zero in on who you are and what you should be doing in the aquarium hobby. Now, as I walk through these things, I want to tell a little brief story about how these questions relate to me and what my own answers are to these questions, so you can get a sense for where I started and how I got to where I am today. Now, the first question is, are you a freshwater person or a saltwater person? Oftentimes, the joke in the aquarium community is that everyone starts off as a freshwater person and then you graduate to saltwater tanks. And that's not always necessarily the case. Obviously, there's a lot more involved in saltwater aquariums, and they can be a lot more difficult, challenging to keep. But that doesn't mean that you can't be a freshwater person for life. Personally, I've kept both freshwater and saltwater aquariums, and I find that I'm a lot happier with freshwater aquariums. The reason being is because I like the fact that I can do a water change, a continuous drip water change on my aquarium system without having the need to mix salt or make RODI water. There's less steps involved, and it's a lot easier to keep and maintain my aquarium systems. So that's my personal answer. Honestly, if I was to only own one aquarium, I would probably do a saltwater aquarium, and I would go big. I would make a big, beautiful reef tank, and that's probably what I would do, because the fish are more colorful, and I can spend more time focused on that one tank. So you need to decide for yourself if you're a freshwater person or a saltwater person. Obviously, you can keep both tanks, but honestly, at the end of the day, you've got to sort of pick which side of the fence you're on, and it's fine to be on either side of that fence. For me, I will be a freshwater person at heart for life, and I know for a lot of other people, they are through and through saltwater people, and I think that's fine. But you need to know who you are so that you can focus on being the best at that thing. So that's number one. Second is to identify who you are personally. As I've sort of met and talked to a lot of different people in the aquarium hobby, I think I've zeroed in on about 5 different types of people who keep aquariums. And this is very general. Again, you could fall into multiple categories, and that's totally fine. First is just your general pet owner. Maybe you have a dog and a cat and a bird, and you just happen to also have an aquarium. It might not be your entire focus, but it might be just one part of your pet keeping experience. In that case, you probably only have one aquarium, and it's probably in your living space in some regard. And as such, fish aren't your only priority, but you still want to understand what you're keeping and give them the best life and best experience as possible. The next type of person is a fish breeder, and this is personally who I am. This is how I identify myself, is I love 1 or 2 different types of fish. And for me, I started off with guppies, and from there I got into endlers. And live bearers in general are what interest me the most, because again, I can create more of the thing that I love, and that is fish. So for me, I don't want to do egg raising or rearing. I don't want to, get involved with necessarily raising live foods on a daily or weekly basis. What I want to do is focus on, creating and rearing as many live bearers as possible. And live bearers are sort of that low entry point to breeding. You toss a bunch of endlers in a tank together and they're going to make other endlers regardless of anything else that you do. And for me, that's nice. Obviously there are some live bearers that are a little bit more difficult. There's some that are a little easier, but for me, I like that sort of a low entry point of I have an aquarium, I have a breeding colony, and these fish are going nuts. So that's what I like. I keep my tanks bare bottom, I keep it bare bones. I'm focused on how many fish can I breed in this setup that I'm creating. The next type of person is a collector. And this is the type of person that goes to the local fish store looking for the rare fish. They're the type of person that goes on Aquabid and they buy like 1 or 2 of each fish that they can possibly find. And maybe they have a specialty, maybe they like cichlids, or maybe they like live bearers, or maybe they like something else, but they are trying to collect every single thing that they can in a family or in a genus, or whatever the case may be. And they're trying to sort of have the experience of what's out there that's a little bit more rare than I currently have, right? There's a lot of different rainbow fish out there. Some are really easy to get your hands on, some are a little bit harder. And so for them, the challenge in the hobby is finding those fish that are a little bit more rare and constantly seeking those out. Next type of person is the Aquascape Er. You are in the hobby for the aesthetic value of your aquariums, and you probably only have a few tanks. They're probably in your living space. They're probably filled with plants and corals, and they look absolutely beautiful. And for you, it's about the art, it's about the design, it's about the challenge. Every few months, you probably get bored and rip it apart and start all over again. But that's what you enjoy. That's what you love about the hobby. And the last type of person is the seller. They are the person who is buying fish and selling fish and shipping fish and interested in how can I get my hands on like wild type fish that no one has seen before, and getting excited about seeing those new fish, getting your hands on things that other people can't get their hands on, and helping to distribute those fish and those new species to the hobby so that other people can enjoy them as much as you do. And these people most often turn into local fish store owners or small business owners, selling and shipping fish out of their house. And that, I think, is the full list of different types of aquarium keepers. If you have another type of aquarium keeper that you think I'm missing from that list, definitely let me know. But that's the list that I have, those 5 types. So the third thing you can do to help identify who you are in the aquarium hobby and what your niche should be is, now that you know who you are, a freshwater person or a saltwater person, you know that you want to breed fish, or you know that you want to aquascape tanks, whatever your passion is, figure that out first. And once you know that, then you can go looking for your heroes. And what I mean by that is people who have been there, people who have done that, people who are already sharing their experience in the hobby, people that you can learn from. And the way that I like to go about this is you find 1 or 2 people who are really, really passionate about what they're doing, and you learn as much as you possibly can from that person. Now, that might be a local fish store owner in your town. That might be someone who's a member of your local aquarium club. It might be someone who you found online through a forum or a Facebook group or a YouTube channel, perhaps. I know that growing up, I grew up in Maine. There were really no local fish stores around, no aquarium clubs around. So I didn't find my aquarium heroes until much later in life. And I think 2 of the YouTube personalities that I first gravitated towards were Ted Judy on the Freshwater side. And if you haven't checked out his YouTube channel, definitely go check it out. I think it's a tragedy that I have more subscribers on my channel than he has on his channel. So if you're watching this video right now, pause it, go find Ted Judy, subscribe to him. He does a lot of great videos on native fish, catfish. He's doing, I believe, a Colombia video series right now. He goes on a lot of collecting trips. He's a very, very knowledgeable person in the freshwater hobby. Definitely worth watching his video content. On the saltwater side, I started watching LA Fish Guy back in the day when he was making basically weekly videos. And I thought it was fascinating to follow Jim as he went on all of his adventures to different accounts that he had with different people that had very large aquariums in their homes in the LA area. And I got to learn a lot about the saltwater side of the hobby through his video content. I think I probably heard the term wet dry trickle filter about 5,000 times through his videos, and it's just one example of something that you can learn when you watch it and you hear it enough times. So definitely go find your heroes. Now, you can become members of Facebook groups and web forums. I learned a lot through Guppy Forum. I learned a lot through Turtle Forum. Forums have sort of fallen out of favor a little bit in favor of things like Facebook groups at this point, but it's really important to find those knowledgeable people, ask as many questions as you can, and consume as much of the knowledge that they have so that you can get better at what you want to do as fast as possible. And if they love the hobby, they will love answering your questions no matter what. So find a hero. Fourth thing is chase what makes you happy. And for me, this was constructing a fish room for breeding purposes. And I've gone through a lot of different variations of my fish room, and I think what helped me the most was actually the process of hopping from apartment to apartment to apartment, and having to break everything down and set everything back up. Because every time I did that, I learned something and I applied it to the next time that I set up my fish room, and I was able to build it a little bit better, a little bit bigger, a little bit smarter, and in the end, I have basically a completely autonomous fish room in my basement. I haven't done a water change in 2 years, and all of my fish are perfectly fine because I've designed it in a way where it's more or less self-sustaining. And that's a long way from where I started, which was just racks and racks of 10-gallon aquariums with guppies and sponge filters in them. So that's where I started. This is where I've sort of ended up so far, and obviously I'm not done my journey in the hobby either. But chase what makes you happy. If breeding fish makes you happy, set up enough aquariums that you can successfully breed fish. If you need to keep live cultures, set up the systems that you need to keep live cultures. Do whatever you need to be as successful as you need to be in what you enjoy most about the hobby. And if you do that, you're going to learn, you're going to grow, you're going to do things bigger, you're going to do things better, and hopefully that is what keeps you constantly challenged, constantly engaged in the hobby. The fifth thing, learn from your mistakes. And this is honestly why this YouTube channel exists. It's because I make a lot of mistakes, and I want to share all of my successes, but also all of my failures, my thought process with everyone else, so that they can see sort of, what I was thinking, so that I can get some feedback, and so that I can then go out and make things better. And if you're not learning from your mistakes, you're not growing as a hobbyist. And if you can't admit that you've made mistakes, you're not, truthful to yourself either. And you know, I think there are plenty of mistakes to make in the aquarium hobby. Everyone's made them, from the rookie mistakes all the way up to the, you know, the biggest you know, water events of your lifetime. It happens, and every time something like that happens, learn from it. If you correct it, it will never happen again, right? If you just continue to do things the same way you've always been doing things, and you're not learning from your mistakes, you know, the same mistakes are going to keep happening, and you never grow, and you stall out as a hobbyist. So take every mistake as a learning opportunity, and I know that I do, and every piece of feedback that I get from you guys helps me in learning from my own mistakes. And the final thing, number 6, is share what you've learned with others. If you've gone through this entire process in, you know, becoming an aquarium hobbyist, finding your niche, really loving what you're doing, and being really successful at it, whether that's aquascaping aquariums, or it's fragging corals, or whatever it is that makes you the happiest, make sure that you're sharing all of that with everyone. Whether that's just posting photos on Facebook, or joining a forum, or creating a YouTube channel like this to help other people out. This hobby needs more information and more sharing so that everyone can learn and grow as hobbyists. So if you've gone through the effort to learn everything that you know, I think you owe it to yourself, and I think you owe it to future hobbyists to share as much of that information as possible. And obviously, not everyone has the same point of view, not everyone has the same way of doing things, and I think, you know, the best thing that we can do as hobbyists is recognize that when we're sharing things, it's not cut and dry, it's not black and white, it's not right and wrong. There's a spectrum of, you know, how things should be done in the aquarium hobby. Some people, you know, choose to use different methods of filtration. Other people choose, you know, different sizes or shape aquariums. The list is infinite, and if you line up 100 fish keepers and ask them to do something, every single one of them is going to do it slightly differently. And it's based on the experiences that they've had in the hobby. And I think sharing all of those unique experiences is what makes this hobby so powerful. So do your part, and once you've learned something, once you've mastered something in the aquarium hobby, start sharing it. Anyways, guys, I hope you found that helpful, and I hope you could relate to some of that information, and I hope it motivates you to go out there, find out who you are, and start sharing your successes. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.